about the medical treatment. Just focus on Christ and know that you can do all things as he pulls them through this.
So last week you invited me to speak at a group of 100 or so students at East Marietta Middle School. I spoke about my testimony and shared with them the trials that I go through and will continue to go through the rest of my life. Today I actually leave to fly back to Louisville for more treatment. Tell me something about these young men and girls and boys that experienced that for the first time last week.
Well, first, let me say this. When I first started at EC Middle, we had 26. And by the time Rob got there, it jumped to 92. So in about 6 months, you saw a big increase. But what a lot of people don't know is 3 weeks prior to that, they lost a dear member that used to minister at that school. And so the first 2 weeks was just preaching and pouring into them about the hope of God. And so when Rob showed up, it was a physical example of God's hope and his grace. And so even though they were mourning and youth pastors came in to encourage them about God's hope, Rob actually walking in the school and talking to those group of kids actually showed them that hope is real. It's something tangible that God can give them. And the funny thing is, it's not only the kids, but there was a lot of staff that were in there that were encouraged by his words. And to show what Philippians 4:13 is, you know, he's not totally healed yet, but he's allowing Christ to pull him through. So it's not just a fancy cliche to those kids now. It's not just a verse that they hear preached in church, but they actually saw Philippians 4:13 in Rob that day. For him to stand there and say what God was doing in his life and how it all started from an FCA huddle with a chaplain, and now he's living it and it's spreading so others can be pulled in through Christ.
Well, this morning at Ironman we talked about how there's an awakening here in Newnan, and it's here. What kind of word or prophecy could you give me as encouragement today before I go for my next treatment?
Philippians 1:6 says, he that begunneth a good work in you will see it to the end. Rob ain't going nowhere until it's fulfilled through God. Whatever God said in his mother's womb, when he was swimming around like Jeremiah to make him a prophet among nations, nothing is finna happen. God is gonna have his hand on him and his family until it is completed. And the doctors can't give a date. Surgeons can't give a date. Only God can. As far as revival in Newnan, it's here, it's flooded, and because of organizations like Can't Never Could and FCA and youth pastors and ministers coming in the community, y'all gonna see an explosion of God, not only in the schools, but in this community. No problem.